Welcome to the American Income Podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest by the name of Jesse Rogers, otherwise known as Casper SMC, like Casper the Ghost. Introduce yourself, Casper, and what is exactly that you do for a living?
Yeah, man. As you said, my name's Casper or Jesse. People seem to call me one or the other, depending on how they met me. But I'm a trader. I've been trading for 9 years. And in that time, I've went from trading crypto to now trading futures. And I do content and a bunch of other cool stuff, along with some real estate development stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly trading.
Now, you said you trade. What type of trading do you do exactly? And what's the most amount of money you made in a single year doing this?
2.2 million was the most I ever made in a single year. But right now I'm trading futures. So like NASDAQ, gold primarily. Occasionally I'll trade ES, but it's been months since I've traded ES. Like for those who don't know, I'm speaking in like trader lingo. ES is just the S&P 500, right? So a lot of people, look at the S&P 500 as what they put, say, their 401k in. But with futures, you can trade more on the micro movements intraday. And I'm sure a lot of people watch this have heard of like prop firms, and that's really what the biggest prop firms are trading now.
Have you always been good at trading?
Nah, man. Nah, absolutely not. Like trading is one of those things, man. People want to act like it's easy as hell. Like you're going to get it. Like you could just go on and buy this course and learn it in a couple months. Like, nah. Absolutely not, right? Now, is it going to take you 10 years like some other people say? No, it took me 5, but that's because I was completely a jackass, right, for most of the time. But it's one of those things, man, like you're going to suck at it because the way your brain is wired is not meant for trading. It's really the same reason people that a lot of people aren't successful, right? Because your brain really isn't wired to be successful. Your brain's more wired to try to protect yourself. That's why people go get jobs that they may not like or play the safe route.
Yeah.
And in life, you can kind of go about doing that and not get immediate feedback.
Absolutely.
But in trading, you get immediate feedback, right? So you start losing money, you start blowing accounts, you start going through all these things, and then people start building a lot of bad habits, and it snowballs into them having like a way harder time trading. Yeah. So
absolutely. Now, how old are you?
29.
Now, tell us about your upbringing and when did you start trading? What did you even do before this, and how did all this become about, basically?
Yeah, man. So I was born in South Carolina, but I was raised in a small town in eastern Tennessee called Johnson City, Tennessee. Whenever I was born, we had it pretty good. Like we weren't rich by like the grand scheme of things, but we had a lot more than most people. Upper middle class. Both my parents were together, amazing parents, very loving parents. And in 2008, whenever the whole economy crashed, my dad and they lost everything, right? They just weren't really prepared for it. A lot of debt, like the whole reason the crash happened, right? Everybody was in debt. They had taken out a mortgage we probably couldn't afford. And once they lost everything, we had to move from a good area to a not so good area. And when that happened, I started hanging out with the neighbors, started smoking weed when I was super young, getting into the wrong things. And then I ended up getting into the drug business for a very long time, right? So fast forward a couple years, that was in 2008. I was like 11, 12 years old when I first started smoking weed and getting involved in that crowd. I stayed doing that until 2021, right? So fast forward a little bit in between that journey, in 2016, years later when I was in California, because I moved to California to get into the weed business bigger, and out there people would always talk about Bitcoin, but it was more so because they were using Bitcoin to transact for purchases and stuff, right? And there were all these people that would say, oh, this is going to go crazy. I don't think any of them knew that it was going to go as crazy as it has, but they talked about it enough to where I started to look into it. And that was originally how I got into trading. But I say trading, but it's really like into a market because I wasn't trading. I just bought Bitcoin and got lucky, right? So I put in like 20K and made 380K. And at that point, I thought I knew it. I thought I was like, okay, cool. Like this is the new hustle. I'm going to get out of the game because I had a kid. I wanted to go the better route. Yeah. Like a lot of people in that business, I think that a lot of people that are doing it, they'll put on a facade that like, oh, I'm getting money. You're the man. And a lot of it is really like the ego. But deep down, you want out of it. Like if somebody just said, hey, I'll give you a legitimate business that makes the same amount of money, you'd be a fool not to take it. Because at the end of the day, like what you're chasing, which is really just, you're chasing money. But why are you chasing money? You're chasing money so you could have a better life, so you could have freedom, so you could have the things you want. But if you have to look over your shoulder 24/7, if you have to worry about somebody coming to rob you, worry about the cops coming to raid you all the time, you don't really enjoy life. So I wanted out, right? Yeah. And whenever I made this money trading, well, I like to say it was trading back then. It was just like getting lucky, right? Yeah. So then I started to get into trying to make more money. So I started watching YouTube videos. I was watching this channel. It's called Trading 212. It's like the most NPC, like YouTube channel. No hate, they're a huge brand, but it is not going to teach you, you know what I'm saying, right? And I lost all that money, right? Not all at once, but in a slow, painful downturn, right? But that got me addicted to trading. So for the next couple of years, I was still trying to learn to trade. I was on like stock twits. I was trying to trade Forex or options and all this stuff. And I really never made any money. I was just losing a bunch of money. But then finally, whenever I got in trouble and had to stop doing that, that was where I went full into trading. And that was 2021. So I say I've been trading 9 years, but really it's been like, or 2020, I'm sorry, not 2021. But really it's been like 5 years.
Wow.
That's like actually taking it serious.
Yeah.
And 4 of those years I've been actually like consistently profitable. So.
Now, knowing that you had a fast lifestyle, money was good, you had a child that was already with you, at what point do you say, hey, this is gonna end soon, or I'm one day away from everything turning around? Because there's a lot of people that maybe someone's gonna be watching as well. They're in that current situation, fast lifestyle, money's coming in good, but at what point do you know, hey, this can literally stop tomorrow?
I think every single day. And that's why I always say that the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was all the people turning on me and me getting in trouble. 100% the best thing that ever could have happened to me in my life. Because if that wouldn't have happened, I would have never stopped. 100%. I won't sit here and say, because, I tried to stop. Did I really try? Because if you really try to do something, you just do it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of that, it comes down to your identity too. So for I always tell people, right now I'm trying to put together this kind of group where I go back to this same behavior center. When I was a kid, I got in trouble a lot. And I had to get put in these classes, right? All that kind of stuff. And I want to go back and talk to these kids about it. Because at that point, it's all an identity thing. You're just doing that to be the man, right? You're doing that to be cool, to get status. Yes, the money's part of it, obviously. But it's really more about who you want to be, and a lot of times, where I was at, it was either you play sports or you're like a rapper, stuff like that. That was what was cool. It wasn't. Nowadays, kids have way better role models with content creators and all this stuff. But, for me, I would have never stopped because it was who I was. In my head, that's all I could do. And I tried to start businesses, right? I tried to get out of it and get into sales. I started a solar sales company. All the while, I just still always got pulled back into that life because it was my identity. But whenever that was forced away from me, when I got in trouble, that was whenever I actually figured out who I really was.
Yeah. Now, what if you don't mind me asking, while you were doing, selling weed, selling drugs, what are the types of amount of money you were seeing? What, hypothetically, what's the most amount of money you made in a single month doing this?
I would say in the 200K range. But the thing is, though, you never really see it all, right? At least at that scale, because I know in my situation, it was somebody's fronting you something, and then you're fronting somebody else something, and they're fronting somebody else something. And it's you have this kind of never-ending flow of money, but you really don't have it. And there's always this insecurity. There's always this if a couple wrong things happen, it can all come crumbling down. Yeah. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. Obviously selling drugs isn't a good thing. It can lead to bad things, but you were dealing with a lot of money. What business lessons were you able to learn while transacting and doing all of this?
Bro, listen, everything you need to know about business, because at that level of what I was doing, it's strategy. There were many times people tried to set me up. There were many times that, I had run-ins, life or death situations, stuff like that. And all of that is strategy, right? And at the end of the day, if you want to succeed at business in the long term, it's all about strategy. Everything comes back to how you're positioning the moves you're making. Now, obviously, there's a lot of hard work, execution, all this stuff you hear people preaching about. But really what it comes down to, and why you see some people that are way leagues ahead of the other people and they're really working about the same, is because the strategy. It's because of what they're focusing on, who they're putting on their team, what kind of missions they're sending everybody on. So I would say that to anybody that's stuck in that life, 100%, you are going to have an advantage over people who haven't been in that, because the one thing that you have to understand as a business person, which is people, and who to trust, who not to trust, how to always make sure you're protected, how to think 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. It's kind of like Peter Thiel. He hires chess masters for Palantir, which they don't have to even have experience. And this is a huge, one of the world's biggest companies. And he understands the power of strategy. So I think on a lower level, the same principle can apply to people from the streets. Wow. If you really were in it, that's the thing. If you were really in it, not just dilly-dallying around, but
So you were really in it.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I want to be clear. Any of the stuff I'm saying, I'm not saying that like I'm proud of who I am, right?
Absolutely.
I never regret anything because that's what made me who I am. But I'm not endorsing that. I think it's stupid. I wouldn't have even got along with myself. Like if I'm right now met myself back then, I would not respect this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I will say that, you know, a lot of the stuff that I've learned, a lot of the stuff that's made me successful did come from that stage of my life. But it was just now I've applied it into, you know, a new realm, a new way of living. So.
I definitely think there's a lot of business lessons you could learn. I think even the most simplest one is being a man of your word, always doing what you say you're gonna do, and being on time with certain things. I know, especially with what you were doing, if you're late to do certain things or you lie to certain people, bad things can happen to you.
Yeah.
And I think that you probably learned a very valuable lesson to always be a man of your word and always conduct business the right way, because you probably learned, hey, there's another side of this that I don't want to see. And you had a child that you already had, a boy or girl, by the way?
A girl.
Okay, so you had a daughter that you knew, like, she's on my side as well. I have to make sure she's careful.
Yeah, man.
Now, do you think when did you have your daughter? What age?
I was 19.
Do you think having a daughter at 19 was more impact why you wanted to be involved in the streets more and make more money? Because you had
It made me want to get out. It made me want to get out. Yeah, because at that point I had been in it so like I'll do a crash course, man. Like I was a delinquent my whole life. Right? I got arrested 9 times before I was 18. Right, just complete troublesome child. Right, and I ended up moving to Cali because at that time, like that was like, you know, the weed game.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to go legit because so many people around me, like I had friends die, I had friends go to jail, all sorts of stuff. Right, people getting robbed, all sorts of crazy stuff. So I wanted to get out of that. Right, that's why I went to California, and then that's where I had my daughter. So that was even more of a catalyst of why I wanted to get out. And that's why whenever I got into crypto, right, I had got into crypto like not too long before my daughter was born. You know what I mean? So to me, it was like, I remember I can literally teleport myself into that moment, and I thought that I had made it out.
Yeah.
But it was years later that I actually did.
Yeah.
But going back to one thing too, one of the most valuable lessons I will say, you said something that made me remember this. Every situation you go into, you have to look at it. How can you provide value? How can you be hospitable? How can you go above and beyond to just make an impact on everyone around you? Because when you do that, you gain connections, you gain real friendships with people and the right people. It's kind of like, bro, like literally, like, you know, you whenever I came out here, you picked me up from the airport in the McLaren, right? You got me, you invited me to this suite, taking good care. And that's how I was even telling Anna, my fiance, I was like, he's a stand-up dude. He does things the way I do it. And that kind of stuff right there, that is what's gonna propel you in business.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm big on relationship building. I think every relationship is an opportunity to better yourself and better your business. And I think nowadays a lot of people are very transactional. They say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this for you, but I want something else in return," and I'm highly against that. Even if someone sends me a client for my business and they ask me for a referral before the client even comes, I already say it's all good. Don't do it. Like, just I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
Out of respect, because I don't do things that way. And if you're already going to ask for something ahead of time, we're not going to do it. And a few more, one more question about your early career. I don't want to go too deep in this, but how was it that everything stopped, and how did you get in trouble? Did someone turn on you? What exactly happened, and what lesson in life were you able to learn from that to move forward?
Yeah, no, a lot of people turned on me. Essentially, I had things that spun out of control. One person got into really big trouble, and then that person kind of told on everybody, right? So I got indicted on a 26-person, right? Like it was like a RICO case, but it was state. The feds never picked it up, thank God, or I probably wouldn't be here. But whenever that happened, what the real impact was that it forcibly ripped away that fake identity I had. Because to me, like, yes, was I really in that life? Yes, 100%. Was I the dude living life, partying, making a bunch of money? Yes. But like, that's not what makes you you. No matter how you're getting money, right? No matter if it's legal, illegal, whatever. And whenever that was all ripped away from me, I was forced to realize like who I really was. And I didn't have this reputation to protect, because I cut myself off from everybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody in my whole life, bro. Like to this day, I have two friends that I had since a kid that didn't turn on me. 2. And we had a big group of people, you know?
Yeah.
Even those people I didn't talk to during this time, but I completely cut myself off from everybody. I met the woman I'm with now, and I literally reinvented myself. Because, bro, if you would have met me back in these times, bro, I was out here like Bape hoodie, bust down chains, talking different. I was a literal different human being. But like I said, I wouldn't have even liked myself. Yeah. But, you know, it really did. It just gave me an opportunity to kind of reinvent myself. And this is one of the things that I always tell a lot of young people is don't get too attached to what you're trying to put out there to people, right? Like don't get, because that's not really you at the end of the day. Once you start doing that, now you're living for other people. Now you're trying to like fulfill other people's mission, right? It's their job whether to determine if they like you or not. And whenever, I think a lot of people now, especially in the age of social media, they have this thing like they always need approval, right? Everybody needs approval. And I think that you can leverage that, right? Because that's how I was as a kid. Whenever I was growing up, I was kind of like the weird kid when I was really young, right? So I think I overcompensated with that, was like, I'm gonna be the best at everything because I'm kind of weird. I didn't really get along with people socially, you know what I mean? So I had to, you know, compensate with being an overachiever. And I think that did me a lot of good. Obviously I did it in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
But I do think that people that are in that situation can leverage that.
Absolutely.
And can really, you know, but just make sure whatever you do, you don't make it like your identity to do that. You got to be you. You got to focus on your mission.
Yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway.
So essentially, you stop trying to be someone you're not, because eventually it's going to turn on you in a certain way.
Yeah. And it's even if it's like somebody that you are, you know what I mean? Because I really was that guy.
Yeah.
But like, I think that everybody goes through a stage where they start to morph into like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody has big chapters in their life. Like Absolutely. They say like 5 years ago, you're a different person than you are today.
Absolutely. So. I think everyone goes through phases. But yeah, so now I want to get into the trading, right? You're known very well online as Casper SMC, right?
Yeah.
Who is Casper and what is Casper known for in the trading community? Every trader has their own identity, but what are you known for?
I would say I'm known for more of like the pragmatic guy. Like, you know, yes, I have some, you know, supercar. Yes, I have nice stuff. But that's not like the whole brand. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not hating on people that do that, but I think that that's kind of what I'm known for. And then also I just simplify things a lot with trading, because for years, you know, I bought every course. I have a mega folder of like pirated courses that was like, you know, circulated around. That's a terabyte. And I had watched so many of these courses. All of them are these new complicated thing where one guru like comes up with some new concept and the other dude repackages it. And it gets to the point where it's like, it's almost like hieroglyphics. So years later, when I finally became successful, I didn't become successful with any of the stuff that I learned. I became successful by diluting it all down into my own way of doing things.
Absolutely.
And I thought, okay, well, you know, if I'm going to teach people how to do this, why not just be like, no bullshit? Because I know that I respect people more whenever they're just pragmatic. And you're going to attract the right people like that. So I think that's really like the brand that I've built, is just more like simple, to the point, no fluff.
Within the online trading community, there seems to be a lot of shiny object syndrome. How do you separate yourself from actually being a trader versus being a show-off trader?
Just actually trading, right? You know what I'm saying? Like actually posting. Like, I think it's really easy to tell. You know, like once you've been in this space for 3-4 months, kind of like who's doing it, who's not. Because there's a lot of people that just genuinely aren't doing it. But the easiest way is just to like live trade. Like that's how I came up. So originally I was just in a Discord, right? And I was a paying member and I started doing really well and they made me a coach. Whenever they made me a coach, this was before Discord had stages, right? Mm-hmm. So we had to stream on YouTube just to do like the paid classes. We just did it on YouTube. But then more people started joining the stream. So it started kind of picking up. I got to like 2,000 subscribers and I said, well, like, I might as well like make a YouTube video. The first video I made, bro, is the craziest, lowest quality, terrible camera. Everything's backlit. And that video got me to like 10,000 subs. And then on that, I went on like a crazy run, got to 100,000. And, you know, that's kind of like, I think why my brain was built like this, because it's actually trading. You know, yeah. It's kind of crazy to say that, like Absolutely. In this space, like that's the easiest thing to do to stand out, is just do it live. That way it's not, because like in trading, you can show, you know, like somebody could go and buy one position. Like let's say a guru wants to look like they made money. They could go and buy a position and sell at the same time and then show whichever one makes money. People do that all the time. You can tell too. You can easily tell.
So you can fake a trade and show it like it's
yeah,
real.
Man, absolutely.
How does someone fake a trade?
There's numerous ways. Some people will own their own brokers. So like with MetaTrader, you know what MetaTrader is?
I've heard of it. Yes.
So any of the time you see like the blue numbers, right? Like that broker, like the Forex era. So people, what they'll do is they'll literally go and you can open up a broker, right? That's like these offshore brokers. That's why you see a lot of people posting affiliate links to brokers. But they can open their own, and if they open their own, they can like edit the trades, right? So it looks like it'll even say live account because it's their broker, but there's no real money in it. And they can go back and edit the trades to make it look like, oh, I made, like you can even tell. For example, when someone enters a trade, there's something called slippage. So for example, let's say if I said, I want to buy 500 shares of Tesla right now at this exact price. You literally can't do that most of the time, right? Yeah. It's going to have slippage, meaning it's going to fill you at different positions, but you'll still people like posting and they'll be entering like, 100 lots in Forex or like 700 lots and just hit it and they're not down at all. It's like instantly, like it's 100% not real. There's no way that would happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people don't realize that but most people don't know that, But I also think that like when you do that, you attract a way lower demographic. You know what I'm saying? But that's like, and that's one of the ways, bro. There's a lot of ways people do it.
Is that the most popular way? Just editing it?
That, and then also too, like I get approached a lot by different brokers that are like, oh, we'll do a marketing account for you, right? So that's why I've really never been in the Forex space. This is mainly in the Forex space. People will give you an account. They'll be like, oh, we'll market my broker and, we'll give you marketing funds. It's kind of like they do with like, other like casinos and stuff, right?
Yeah. So essentially, there's brokers that go to your people that own brokers, say, hey, we're going to give you a demo account, lie to your followers, we're going to put fake money in it, and you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, but they call it a marketing account to make it sound professional.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that normal?
Oh, that happens all the time, bro. I've been asked that over 10 times.
What's been the most amount of money you've been offered to market a broker? If you don't
I never even talked to them, so I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny when I hear people like, oh, I got offered this. I'm like, okay, so they don't just message you and say, hey, we're going to give you 50K.
Yeah.
I always think it's funny when people say that because I'm like, okay, so you kind of thought about it.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I just never even thought, man.
Now, when you're trading futures, do you have to use a broker?
Yeah, futures, though, that's the thing about futures. So this is where, that's why you see a lot of people not trading futures because you can't do, like, if you do that with futures, I mean, really if you do it with anything, but if you do it with futures, that's like a federal, like, you're going to prison type shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, futures is all regulated. So Forex is like, there's 100 different brokers and, you never know which one's legit, which one's not. But futures, you're trading like in a stock brokerage, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or on the prop firms.
So what's the main app someone can trade futures on?
TradingView, usually people link like Tradeovate to TradingView.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll do NinjaTrader, which is like only on Windows. But those are the two most popular.
Yeah.
There are numerous though that you can trade.
Now let me ask you this: with futures, do you guys deal with funded accounts as well?
Absolutely. That's the main. The prop firm space has now moved totally to future. I mean, there are Forex firms, but like it's kind of like they're not really on top anymore.
Yeah.
Like they used to be.
Why is there such a big negativity around demo accounts and especially with prop firms not paying out people?
I mean, I think it's one of those things like people like negativity. Like bad news always spins better than good news. So when it really comes down to it, bro, like there are a lot of legitimate firms. It's kind of like it's crazy to me because there's like, firms that have been around for years that have paid out hundreds of millions of dollars, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And people, instead of going to that firm, will go to some firm with like some crazy deal and then be like, oh, I got scammed. It's like, yeah, no shit. You're an idiot.
Are there influencers that own or are part of a firm where they're selling these funded accounts and purposely not paying out people?
Yeah, I would say that was more so in the Forex space.
Okay.
Right now, most of the big firms in futures are not owned by influencers. There's one, Tradeify, is owned by a dude named Brett. I've always heard good things about him. I don't know him. I've never used that firm, but that's the only one that I know that is owned by a influencer in the future space.
Yeah. If someone wants to trade futures now, what are the 3 firms they can use that are actually legit and they can actually withdraw their money from?
I would say, okay, so the way I look at it, I actually just did a long YouTube video on this. It might even be out by now, but it's essentially, I break it down into three things that pick the firms, right? So value, difficulty, and just overall price, right? And scaling too, so scaling. So for example, what I mean by that, value is like if you pay $50 for a firm, how much capital do you actually get? So the way prop firms work is they'll say, I'm gonna sell you a $50,000 account, but you're not actually getting 50,000 because they basically say you gotta trade it, and if you lose 2,000, you fail. So you're really getting 2,000 for like 50 bucks. That's how I look at it. So I look at how much does it cost to how much do you actually get. So like Apex, you get 4 times as much for your money as any other firm, right?
Okay.
And then difficulty is like how much money do you have to make with the amount of money you have. So a lot of firms, you only get 2,000, but you got to make 3,000. That's a crazy gain. You know what I'm saying? When you really think about it. But with Apex, you have 2,500 and you got to make 3,000. So it's a little bit easier, right? And then you can have 20 accounts once you pass instead of just like 5 with the other firms. So
now, what is this pass thing? What do you mean pass?
So the way a prop firm works is you buy a demo account essentially, right? It's a test where you can trade on it. And if you can prove that you can hit the profit target without losing X amount of money, then you get moved to a funded account, right? That account is still a demo account. A lot of people don't realize this because a lot of people be like, oh, like, you know, you're getting actually funded in this account. Like, no, it's a casino model. The way prop firms work, it's like a casino. So for example, whenever you go to that funded account, yes, if you make money, right, you will get paid out as if you made real money, but you're just getting paid from the loser's money. Same model as a casino, right?
Wow.
And it's kind of crazy to me. A lot of people still don't know this. Like, it was like a huge, like, hidden thing, like a long time ago. But now most people in the trading space know it. Which some people have problems with. Some people, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, that's what the markets do. It's just an amplified.
It's just money exchanging hands.
Well, like, trading's a zero-sum game. Like, whenever you're making money in the markets, someone else is losing money.
Yeah.
Literally, when you close a trade, someone else is on the other end of it. Right?
Absolutely.
So prop firms just take that and amplify it. So people want to cry about it, and it's like, you know, no crime in the casino, bud. Like, it's trading. It's not. This is not some kind of like.
Now, so basically, the way you're saying a prop firm works is, if there's 100 people, 100 of them buy funded accounts. 95 of them lose money on these funded accounts. They spend anywhere from $250 to $25 to buy these accounts. They all lose money, but 5 people make money. Right. That company still is making overall more money. They're gonna pay these people out, and that's how these companies make money. These firms.
Correct.
Wow. Now, why don't people just use their own money to trade? Why do they have to buy a funded account? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I think that for most people, it makes sense for 2 reasons when you're starting. Number one, because you can go from risking thousands of dollars to risking like $30. That's the easiest way to look at it. Because, you know, whenever you're first starting, like, you're going to lose a lot of money. I mean, a lot of trades. Now, if you lose a lot of money, it depends on how much money you put at risk. So if you go out into the market and say, I'm going to trade futures, I'm going to start with 10K. Very good chance you lose that whole 10K. But instead of doing that, you could go and just buy prop firm accounts for $30 to $50, learn on that, and actually respect it as if it was your own money. That's the key. Respect it. Don't just gamble it away. And then you can learn for a lot less expensive.
Yeah.
Right now, the second benefit, which is obvious, is just if you don't have money. You know what I'm saying? So like whenever I came up trading props, I didn't have enough money to trade, right? Nowadays, I just trade with my own money. But I came up trading props. And if I wouldn't have had props, I would have never been able to make the money I did. I would have never been able to pay for my lawyer to get myself out of the case if it wasn't for prop firms, right? Like, I dug myself out of a hole. So I look at it like people that like hate on them and stuff. It's just people loving negativity.
Now,
you know?
Would you say on a prop firm account, you passing this challenge or hoping is kind of like putting up a parlay together? Hoping that all the stars are going to align?
It can be. I mean, like, I'll be completely frank with you, right? Like, if I was to go back at prop firms, right, being an experienced trader, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to allocate it like a bankroll. Like, for example, on Apex, right, you'd have to fail 17 times without getting a payout to be unprofitable. Because let's say if you buy 20 accounts, right, and then...
And how much is each account, by the way?
Just $30 to start, $33 to around $40, depending what discount they have. Then you got to pay another $80 to activate it if you get funded. So around like 120, we'll call it.
Okay.
So the minimum payout on an account is $2,000. Right, so you could fail so many times and not get a pen. Now, I'm not encouraging people to go do this, but I'm just being, you know, a lot of people won't tell you this. A lot of influencers, people will see them making these big returns, and then the influencer will go and be like, yeah, just I risk a little bit. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Like, once you get good at this, you do have to look at it from a more risk aggressive standpoint because you're trying to leverage a prop firm. So
absolutely,
I would go in and I would take way heavier risk on the challenge to pass it. So it's not like a parlay. You want to wait for a high quality setup, but you are going to have to risk more than like 1/10 of your account or something like some people do.
Now, you said the minimum payout is $2,000
per account. You have to, whenever you get funded, you'd have to get it above 2,000 because you can only take out a percentage. But the minimum you can take out when you start is 2,000. So you have to like run up that much profit a little bit more.
Don't you feel like it's almost made against you? Because what if there's a person that, hey, I made $800, why can't I take this out?
Well, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, do you want the business model to work or not? Like, the firm's got to make money to make, like,
absolutely.
You know, that's why, like, it's funny because Apex is the biggest firm, right? It's been the biggest for a long time. And they get a lot of hate, right? But I always like say it comes with the territory. Look at any of the biggest companies in the world, you know, they're going to get a lot of hate because they're doing the most volume. There's the most incidences. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's going to be hard. You're paying $30 to access $2,500 of capital. Yeah. But then people want to go and complain about it. It's like, bro, like,
do what
you can.
It almost seems like I'd rather just use my own money. If I have
You got money, though.
No.
Yeah,
But just I think someone would take trading more serious if they lose real money.
Absolutely.
And if they have $2,000 and they lose their own $2,000, they're gonna sit there and learn why they fucked up. If I lose $30 in a funded account, whatever account's gone.
Yeah.
So it's almost, I feel like the process would take a little bit longer now. This can vary by certain people. Certain people would actually learn. But my question to you is, knowing all this, why don't you start your own firm? Why haven't you started?
I actually did start my own firm and I never launched it because I look at it like this. Like, I also do have like a mentorship. In my opinion, and this is no hate against anybody who does this, it's a conflict of interest to say you're going to teach people how to trade, but then own a company that only makes money if they lose. Makes no sense.
Similar,
right? Like, let's be
similar
honest.
to the online gambling websites.
Yeah. But I would say worse because like you're literally, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do this. But then on the other end, come to my company where I only make money if you lose. Like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? And to be honest, like I built one, right?
Yeah.
And everybody at some point in this space will come to that crossroads where you can make the right decision and think in decades, or you make the short-term decision and try to make a quick buck. And that's why you see a lot of these influencers, they kind of recycle, they fall out and they have these big events.
Have you seen big names in the space make their own firm and abuse it?
I don't want to say abuse it because I'm not on the inside. I've seen people make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times too in the space, people on the outside, they always look at people like it's like they intentionally like did this evil thing. Like I'll give you an example. I had some really close friends of mine that had a firm that went under, and it really wasn't. I'm not gonna say it like abdicate any kind of responsibility because it was their firm and they take responsibility, but the tech company they were working with went under, right? So to the front end, it looked like, oh, these guys just like pulled the rug. But seeing like what happened in the back end, they were genuine. Like they didn't want that to happen. They just made business mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
So it's always more complicated. There's actually a quote, I think it's Socrates, that like men never, I don't want to butcher this. Essentially, it's like people never do evil in their eyes. Now, I don't know if that's totally true, but the point I'm trying to make here is that I think a lot of times people just get excited and they make the wrong decision. And then that leads to them looking as if they are like this mastermind villain.
Absolutely.
I think that's what's more frequent.
Now, a firm could lose money. A firm could go under because they run out of money to pay people out.
Absolutely, yeah. So like,
Is that the most common thing?
yeah, that's the only reason. I mean, like, unless they just literally, I mean, now to be clear, I'm sure there are scams. For sure. There are, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But I would say the most common is like, it's a competitive space. So they try to make the rules easier.
Yeah.
Kind of like we were going back to earlier, like, why do they have a $2,000 minimum payout? Because they know the game. They know that if they didn't, they'd probably get ransacked, right? So a lot of these other firms will say, oh, we could start a business and not have that. And that's, you'll see that happen. There was one, what was it called?
What's been the most infamous firm going down recently?
There was a lot. Recently, I cannot remember it, dude. His name's Scott, the guy that ran it. Anyways, there's this one firm with this guy. He was buying like all sorts of crazy ass like Raris and shit, like posting videos and getting shipped in, and then their whole company went under like a month later. It was funded something, bro. His name's like Scott something. But anyways, that was one. And then in the Forex space, there was like the funded trader. Yeah. And then my Forex funds didn't really go under. My Forex funds was more so they got hit with like the CFTC case, which recently they actually beat it years later. And they're going to start reopening up again. But
now, let me ask you this. So you said you have a mentorship, right?
Yeah.
And does that mean you teach other people how to trade?
Yeah. I like to say it like this. I teach everybody for free online. Like everything that I post, you could literally watch my YouTube. I have multiple hour-long courses. I'm just about to put another one out. You could literally learn everything for free. Like I'm never going to be a dude who's like, oh, like I'll teach you the secret way. Like you're not necessarily going to learn anything extra other than just like having somebody implement it with you.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Now, let me ask you this. If you're so good at trading, why do you charge other people to learn?
Bro, anybody who says, this is like the most common thing that's thrown around in trading. I would never in a million years want to just trade. Ever. That'd be so stressful, bro. Like I think everybody should use trading as a lever to get to other businesses, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people try to hide behind like the fact they like sell something. Because they'll try to be like, oh no, I make all my money from trading. I don't make any money from this. Like I make a lot of money from education. I make a lot of money from trading. I make a lot of money from real estate. I'm a businessman, right? Yeah. Like anybody who tries to run from that to me shows that like, okay, you've got something to hide. But to say that like, oh, I just want to have one stream of income that has no impact on people, that has no team, that has no fulfillment other than just like watching numbers on a screen and making money, that's an empty ass life, bro. You know, because to me, I love building teams. Like I love going on, you know, basically like a big mission with a bunch of people, pushing people to go as hard as they can, bringing the best out of people and making other people money. You can't do that trading like by yourself.
Now, have a lot of people asked you to learn from you since you started your online journey, like posting social media content?
Hell yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've helped over 2,300 traders just on like our most advanced program.
Wow. Yeah. And what do you charge, by the way?
It's $7,800.
Yeah. So $7,800 to learn how to trade from you.
Yeah. But it's different. It's not like just like you come in and buy a course, right? So you do get like a course, but you also get to sit there and trade 5 days a week, watching the person trade. Every single trade you take's reviewed and a bunch of other stuff.
Live trading, correct?
Like you can see it.
Is this live trading is something that people don't usually do in this industry, correct?
No, not good. Like, I mean, a lot of people do, but like,
what's the risk with live trading? Is it like if you mess up, everyone's gonna see you?
Well, bro, look, okay. The risk for live trading, why a lot of people don't do it is because they can't trade. That's why. That's the real reason why. But because do I lose money? Bro, like literally on Thursday, I lost money with everybody. That happens all the time, bro. But you also make a lot of money too. Trading is never a thing like mathematically. Let's say if you have a 60% win rate, the odds that you go on a 5 or 6 long losing streak over 100 trades are pretty high. Yeah. So like you're going to go on losing streaks, right? But a lot of times people kind of like edify this fake image and make it sound like, oh, you know, you're so good at trading, you never lose. But really being good at trading is staying through the losses and just kind of like understanding you got to roll with the punches. It's kind of like anything in life. Yeah. So I think when you do that and you do it live, sometimes our people like, oh, fuck, dude, people get upset. But you have to be a good example and show this is how you handle that. This is how you get through it. And then you got to come back and step up to the plate the same way the next day without any baggage. And then once people start getting that, it's kind of like the cycle. Yeah. People kind of like, oh, shit. Oh, okay. And they actually are learning from, you know, going from losses to wins to losses and then looking back over a month and being like, wow, okay, it all adds up. And once that clicks, you're not so much attached to the outcome of each day, you're attached to the process.
Why do you believe someone should pay you that amount of money, over $8,000, to learn to trade from you? You do say you trade yourself. You've proven that you actually trade yourself. People in this industry tend to say they trade, but instead just want to act like they do it and have fake accounts just to make the course money. Why do you feel like it's justifiable for someone to pay you? And obviously, why have so many people paid you?
I think it's because I do it live in front of everybody. And we have so many success stories. And first of all, I want to be clear, like, I don't think like anyone like should pay me, or I don't think I'm like, if you want to come learn from me and you like my stuff, cool. The reason I kind of started a wave in this space where I started charging at the time I launched I originally started charging at $5K. Everybody else was charging like $50 a month. And a lot of people were like, this dude's a fucking scammer, ludicrous. This guy's crazy. But I'm just kind of like, bro, like I make a lot of money trading. I'm not going to put my time into this if I don't make a lot of money from it. Like, here's the thing, bro. You're not going to, if somebody is great at trading, you think they're going to teach you how to trade for $50? Like, what the, you're crazy. Imagine going to somebody who makes millions of dollars and saying, I'll give you $50 to teach me something. What kind of,
and that's why I ask you why teach if you can just do this in like when nobody's seeing you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to have more than one stream of income, or do you just want to have one? It really comes down to, because past a certain point, money isn't even like it's not. It's more like numbers on a screen. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, really, like I could literally quit doing everything I'm doing, throw all my money in an investment account, and just chill, right? Now, I want to get to the point where I can do that and not just chill, live like a crazy life. So I want to get to like 100 mil. But if you want to really have impact and like have a fulfilling life, you're going to need to do more than just gamble, because trading is gambling. You just get really good at it and you can control your odds more than you can at like a blackjack table. So it's not fulfilling. It's stressful. Here's another thing too. Even when you're good, it's stressful. It's stressful, bro. It's not like, I'm never going to be the one to sit here and sell a dream like, oh, you're going to come do this and you just trade and work 5 minutes a day and have a Lambo. Like, it's stressful.
Do you feel like people online make a misconception that someone could just make one trade and live a good life that day or that week, and it's all that easy?
I mean, to be clear, that can happen sometimes, but I think people's misconception is that happens all the time. That's not all the time,
and
right?
What percent of traders fail?
I mean, I think the statistics are like 90%, but I always like to say this, kind of hitting back on you said earlier, and you made a good point. Whenever you're learning on a prop firm, a lot of people don't respect it, right? Because it's $30 and not, their own money. I think that has a lot to do with why 90% of people don't ever make money from prop firms. It's because there's no barrier to entry. So it's just like any business, right? If you go into a business where there's no barrier to entry, it attracts a lot of low-level thinking people, right? And the same thing goes with trading. And that's also why I charge a lot of money, because to be honest, bro, I've been in part of Discords that are like $50 a month or $100 a month. And the difference between the kind of people that you're working with and how serious they are, how dialed in, and also how financially prepared they are to trade. That's another thing. A lot of times people, they're not really ready to trade. Like they have no money. Like I did that. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't go 0 to hero, because you can, but I don't recommend it. There's so many ways you can make money. Like go get to where you're 6 months ahead of time on money and then trade, right? So whenever I charge a higher amount, now I'm able to actually attract those right people, and then I get better success stories, and it's just like a compounding effect.
Now, let me ask you this. How many people join your live trading on, let's say, on an average day?
Like 500 usually show up,
so
around like 500.
You have 500 people on a Zoom screen watching you. You tell everyone, hey, make a left, as in make that trade.
Yeah.
Everyone loses money.
Yeah.
Does that not stress you out that other people's money's on the line and you tell them to do something and it doesn't work?
No. It did whenever but you got to remember, I've been doing that. I've been trading like that since 2021.
Yeah.
Right? Live in front of people. Now, at first, bro, it's terrifying because I did it online, bro. I used to do it on Twitch. You know what I'm saying? That's way worse.
Okay.
Now, you know, because then it's like a lot of people, you know, you don't know, then everybody's bagging on you, dogging on you. But that made me a better trader, bro. Because you got to kind of realize like that emotional impulsivity is why people don't make money trading. So I look at it like this. Yeah, am I going to lose money sometime? Like I said, Thursday, we literally lost, right? Now, that's going to happen. People need to understand like how to handle that, how to handle your losers, how to come back the next day and do the same thing. Because if they see you, someone they respect, go out there, lose money, they're kind of pissed at you at first. They come back the next day, they see you do the same thing and it works.
Yeah.
And they sit there and watch that enough times. That's how somebody learns, bro. It's not, you're not gonna learn, like imagine this, bro. Imagine you wanted to learn how to do UFC or fighting, let's say combat sports.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go watch YouTube videos and never get in the cage?
You get in the cage.
You're gonna get in the
and
cage.
You're gonna win some, you lose some.
Exactly.
So
you know?
I wouldn't say they hate you one day, they love you the next, but you know, I'd assume some days they're happier with you than others.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, yeah.
So not that stressful for you then, knowing that people's money's on the line based off your decision. But let me ask you this. Does that affect the trades you take, and do you say no to certain trades because you know people are watching you?
No, not anymore. It did a long time ago.
Okay.
But really never that too much either. And I always like to say, bro, like just from my past and like everything I've been through, I'm very, very desensitized to stress. Like to the point, it's kind of funny. My fiance, she's like, I swear you're autistic. I swear to God, you got something, because you're just not, I just don't respond to things like that. And I think that is like a real reason why I'm successful, not only in trading, but in everything, is stress tolerance is everything. So I look at it like this, like all these different things that are like, maybe make you nervous, make you stressful. I always like to look at that like, okay, step outside of your mind for a second, observe how you're feeling, realize you're not that stress. You're not that, right? And the way you really like gain confidence is going into any situation, knowing you can zoom out and think like a general. Like ever since I was a kid, bro, I always like to study like war and generals and like how they were able to think in these high stress situations. So I take a lot of pride in that. So I think that has helped me a lot with that, because I look at all these things as opportunities to get better at that, to get more, because especially as a father and as a man, in my opinion, bro, that's like one of the most important things that you have to master.
Now, let me ask you this, right? Where do most people fuck up in trading?
I would say from the start, I mean, there's so many, but from the start, it's expectations. They think that they're just going to come in and they're going to learn this in like 1 to 3 months. And then it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to go out here and quit my job, make 10K a month. Like, I mean, maybe, maybe, but that's probably not going to happen, right? But whenever you place expectations like that, it's unrealistic. And then all of the normal things that happen that challenge that start to trigger you into fight or flight. So let me give you an example. Like, let's say if you said, I want to train for a marathon. I'm going to run a marathon in 2 weeks. And then you went out and tried to run the marathon or tried to even train for it. Would you be excited or discouraged?
If I fail, I'll be discouraged.
Be discouraged. But
I'll be excited that I'm going to go do it.
In 2 weeks, though. A marathon, 26 miles. I don't know if you run. Maybe
No.
Right, it's just not realistic. It's like nearly impossible. So if you were to do that and you keep failing, you start to have like all this trauma, and like you start to think, oh, I suck. I must be stupid. And then all of that kind of manifests into a lot of fear, a lot of lack of confidence, and then other issues stem from that.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest one.
Do you think it's like, hey, that guy on Instagram just bought a Bugatti on his story, he made $200,000 trading today. I want to go do that. I'm gonna run to do that. And then they get hit with expectation. Oh wow, I just lost money doing this. Like, I feel like social media is fucking everybody up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's
100%.
ruining a lot of especially younger minds.
Yeah.
You did admit that trading is literally gambling. It's a get rich or die trying kind of thing. It's a casino basically. Over 90% of traders fail, but it's a true hustle. There's people that actually make money. You've made money yourself, and I think the biggest lesson to learn here is it's possible, but just know it's accessible to everyone. So for you to succeed, it's very, very hard.
Yeah, but I think this, bro. What percent of businesses fail?
Oh, like
what percent of people
every business
fail?
fails. Yeah, absolutely.
If you want something that's like good in life, like if you really want to live the life that people think they want to live, you're not gonna just be the average person. So to do like have an extraordinary life, like people want to have Lambos, they want to travel, they want to not work, they want to retire, they want to have freedom. Like, what is that in relativity to the average life? That's extraordinary. What is the word extraordinary? It's extraordinary, right? You're gonna have to do things that very few people can do to live a life worth living. Now, it's not to say that you can't do it. It's really just that people don't do it. People don't have belief in themselves, or they don't have the work ethic to actually stick with it. So I always like to say, like, it's not all doom and gloom whenever you're going into something that has such a high failure rate, because you got to look at it like, how does a winner think about it? This is opportunity. This is something where if I actually make it through it, imagine the kind of person I'm going to come out. Imagine what else I'm going to be able to do, you know?
Now, let me ask you, how does someone avoid discouragement? They lose over and over and over trading. Like, and you teach people how to trade. You've probably seen this before. There's just people that suck at it. What do you tell them? Like, they literally just suck at it. Do you just say, yo, this is not for you?
I have said that to people before. But I try my hardest to avoid that, because I do think that, as with anything, anybody can learn it. Like, unless your IQ is like, under room temperature or something, and you're just genuinely stupid, which is the case for some people in the world. It's true. I think a lot of it comes down to emotional intelligence, though, bro. It's the same reason that a lot of people aren't successful, is because they never really grew up. Like, you have a lot of grown-ass men that have the emotional intelligence of like a 13-year-old, right? They get their ego damaged at every single turn. They're insecure about everything. They're aggressive for no reason. They try to, all that stuff, like all of those qualities, that's what will make you fail in trading.
How important is risk management in trading, and how does it ruin or make or break certain people?
It's everything. It's literally everything, bro. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good your strategy is, you're going to lose. You're going to have losing streaks. Like I had a whole month this year I lost money. Now imagine if, let's say you start out with 100K and you risk a lot. Like you're risking 20% or 10% of trade, something insane. Even if you run your account up, mathematically, you will blow up. It's not a matter of like, people want to always like hope it's different. Like, oh, I'm going to be the chosen one or something. Mathematically, if your win rate is 60, 70%, the odds you go on a losing streak are near 100% over 100 trades, right? There's literally a chart you could pull up, type in probability of losing streaks in trading. And if you're just risking too much, you will inevitably blow up. Because think about it like this, if you lose 50% of your account, you have to gain 100% to get back to break even, right? To double your account to break even. One wrong move can fuck you up like that. We even see like hedge funds do that. Like a lot of like the greatest traders in the world, like it's kind of like there's a story about a guy named Richard Dennis. And in, I think it was the 80s or 90s, he taught a bunch of people how to trade. It was called the Turtle Traders. He became really famous, had a huge hedge fund. Even that guy ended up almost blowing up his hedge fund and quit trading because they were over leveraged, over positioned. You know what I mean? So it's literally everything. And it doesn't matter how good you are, how long you've been doing it, what you know. You just have to think in a worst case scenario situation. Like that's another thing that what I've been through has taught me is that like there are some things you just don't risk. Freedom is one of them. Your entire, like your well-being, your life, your family's life. If you got people depending on you, like for me, I got like my parents depending on me. I got my child depending on me. I got my fiance depending on me. I got a whole team of people depending on me. Like I'm not going to go out here and even take a 0.00001% chance of ruining it all.
So let's say someone has $50,000 saved up. They have rent, expenses. They have 2 children. They open up a trading account. and they say, you know what, I'm going to make us rich, and they lose all their savings. Do you see this happen a lot in trading?
I don't personally like firsthand see that happen, but I also think that whenever that does happen, people don't really announce it. Like,
Yeah,
people
because
aren't gonna come out
you say that if you have people depending on you, be careful with the decisions you make. And I think more often than not, especially men and our mental health, I think we take certain risks that are so crazy that then puts other people in fucked up positions, but we'd never tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this, I think even gambling, right? Gambling is a very good example, comparison as well. There's people that have lost everything gambling, their family, their this and that, because they had no self-control. Self-control is very important in trading. And how does someone master self-control? Or is it something that takes time?
Yeah, I think that like really there's no one way to do it. A lot of times like it's like kind of like the question, what was the biggest breakthrough for you? There isn't one. There isn't one. Anyone who tells you there is, like there's these stories like I woke up one morning and looked in the mirror, like shut up. No, you didn't. It was a series of fucking failures that you got to a point where you got sick of it and you started taking things serious. Now, I would say you have to like this is how I did it. So whenever I got in trouble, I wasn't very like disciplined. Right? I made a lot of money, but I made it in other ways. Like I was out partying, doing this stuff, and I knew that if I was gonna have a chance at life, I had to turn shit around. Like I was, fighting a case. I had no money. I knew I had to be like really, really dialed in and do something crazy to get out of this. So I attached like my identity as a person now after that, as if it was ripped away from me. Like, what do I want to be now? Well, I don't want to be remembered as the guy who just went away like that. I want to be remembered and leave a legacy as a guy who put on for people, a guy who took care of his family, a guy who motivated other people, a guy who like really made his mark. So I tied the necessity for self-control, the necessity for all these good qualities to that. And as a man, like from a survival point of view, if you tie something that's important to you into your manhood, which to me that is manhood, like leaving a mark on the world, then you will be drastically more motivated because now you're literally using nature to your benefit. But whenever you go out and say like, oh, I want to do this because I want to go get the women or go be the guy and flex on people, like you're not really bought in. You're not. You are motivated, but you're not operating from like a fear of you're not running from something. You're not running from failure. And if you're not running from something, like you're not truly afraid of the opposite of what you want to get, you're not going to get it. You're not. So I think that's the best way to do it. It's not like you're going to go watch a podcast or read a book or meditate or do these things where like you just have this moment and now you're like some self-disciplined monk. No, you have to completely reprogram your brain. That's the way you do it.
So very, very important things there. Now, from what you've seen online, what's the biggest lie that people say about trading futures, just trading in general?
I would say that the biggest, there's two ends of this, right? I'd say the first one, because, most people want to say the cliche answer. Oh, you're going to get rich overnight. I think everybody kind of knows that. That's not true.
Yeah.
Like people don't really try to say that now. Now I almost feel like it's swung in the other direction. Like trading is not legitimate. And, nobody makes money trading. Trading has a 95% failure rate. Yes, but like, again, going back to what I said earlier, a lot of those 90% of people are complete jerk-offs that aren't taking it serious. So if you actually go into this the right way, and you're not going to get it overnight, but your odds, in my opinion, and not financial advice, I don't know the odds, but are better than probably 5% chance of success,
We've literally seen people online make $100 to $1 million, supposedly. Do you think it just fucks people up, bro? Like immensely, like
yeah, absolutely. I think even like legitimate success too. Like any kind of like even for example, like last week or it was the week before last, I made 35K on a trade, and I posted that up, and people are like hitting me up like, "What strategy do you use to do this?" I'm like, "The same one I literally teach on YouTube." So many what it's like. There were so many questions that were almost like you could tell they were coming from a place of like, what's the extra stuff I need to do to get into that?
Or what's the shortcut?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there isn't one, right? At the end of the day, like, I'm going to do the same amount of work that somebody else is doing to make 30 to 50K on a trade that they're doing to make $30 to $50, maybe a little bit more than that. But you get the idea. It's just the size.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like there's some, but that takes, again, I'm going on 10 years. Next year will be 10 years, which is crazy to say that. Really not the full 10 of being serious. But anyways, I've been doing this for a long time. And also too, another thing that not to get off topic, but another reason why I'm able to do this is because of my risk tolerance, bro. Like what I came from, You'd risk your entire life in a box. You'd risk your entire safety and freedom just to go make one move. So risking on a trade, like genuinely, that doesn't, even in the beginning, like I didn't.
Coming from someone who's risked their life just to make money,
there's nothing.
You're okay with risking.
Nothing,
you're okay
bro.
with risking money for a trade.
Money to me, I don't even look like the way that I look at money, bro, is so different. Because very early in my life, I made a decent amount of money. Like whenever my first relationship with money was, I remember whenever my parents lost the house and I saw them fighting, and I would always ask, "What's wrong? What's happening? What's this?" And my dad just looked at me one day, and he said, "You don't understand." I said, "I want to understand. I want to understand." And he just screamed, and he's like, "It's money. You're too young. It's money." At that moment, like literally at that moment, I didn't in that moment think like this, but whenever I've retraced my life, like that's where I was born, I think, right there. Because then later, all I wanted to do was like power and status, and it wasn't even just about money, it was about having security, right? Because I, at that moment, realized like, okay, you can be like my dad, a great man, work their whole life, do all this, have a family, and still lose. Just because of money. So it wasn't even just about money to get like status, it was like money to have security. And once I realized that, then I went into this mode of just looking at money as a tool. And after I had made a lot of money growing up, lost a lot of money, my relationship to money was so different than the average person. I looked at it like this thing that kind of just comes and goes, right? Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, like, you know, get this money and hold on to it. It's you get this money to use it to make more. You got to risk. Because in that game, everything is risk. Everything is financial, safety, legality. You know what I mean? Like, so by the time that I was getting into trading, like I said, I literally turned 20K to 380, just getting lucky. And whenever I even went through losing that 380K, like, was it stressful? Yeah, but it didn't like, I mean, it was depressing because everybody else was like, you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like my family was like, what the fuck are you doing? But it wasn't like it. I knew in my head, well, if I can lose this much, I can make this much again. You know, like, I mean, it was not fun. I'm not gonna say act like I didn't care at all, but it wasn't like this demoralizing thing. Like I never was the person who had trouble stress trading. If anything, I had trouble being too risky. There's the two kinds of archetypes of people that fail at trading. There's the guys who are like very overcautious and like scared to do anything, and that fear causes them to hesitate and compounds and all sorts of other mistakes. And then there's the guys who are just like complete gamblers. More so than not, people are on the scarcity mindset, right? And then the people who are a little bit more aggressive, that's kind of where I was. I like to believe that like either of them can, you know, reach like the pinnacle of success. But the people who are more gambling, I think, and I'm not saying gambling is good. Before somebody tries to say, I'm not saying that, but I think the people that have more balls, so to speak, I hate to say it like that, but just genuinely, those people are gonna have a higher potential. Because money ain't shit, bro. Like once you become successful, you realize like the same amount of money that you used to literally like stress over is nothing. It's nothing. And once you think like that, you are going to attract more money to you because you think in a different way where it causes you to make decisions in a different way that just bring you into money's way. Like they say, like stay out of harm's way. A lot of people stay out of money's way because they're so fucking scared to lose, to fail, to look stupid that they never take a chance to even win. You know what I mean? So I think the people that have to kind of like tone themselves down, you know, from risking too much, those people a lot of times are the ones where like, I really am like, okay, this is somebody that has a ton of potential, especially the young ones. Like they're like 18, 19, 20. They're just out here just like hustling.
Yeah.
Because I remember being that age, like you could have told me, go walk to fucking Mount Everest for 10. I'd be like, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? If I knew there was 10 mil, or you know what I mean? Like you'd do anything, you'd die for it. And to me, that is really like, if you have that and you genuinely have it, and if you're watching this, you know if you do or you don't. If you have that, it is not a matter of like, will you be successful? It's when you will be successful, right? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So yeah.
Now let me we're wrapping up here. What's the most you ever lost in a day of trading?
About $85,000. Yeah.
And is that just another day?
No, not at all. No, I don't usually. Now I'm never really risking more than like 10 to 15,000.
Okay.
And a lot of people, it's funny. Like I see a lot of people. I could risk a lot more, right? Definitely could risk a lot more. If I lost $100,000, it's not going to impact my life at all. But the way I look at it is like second and third, fourth order consequences. If I know in the back of my head that there's a huge chance to take like a huge L, I typically trade a little worse, right? So I would rather take like 10 to 20K risks and then get like 2 to 3R, make like sometimes 40, 50K in a trade. And I can stack that up really nicely. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to go out here and swing for, you know, the fences. And to be clear, there are times where I do take a little more risk. Like recently, I threw $250,000 into Google, right, for a swing. We'll see how this ages for me. It's like $300 right now. I think it's going to go towards like 400.
Stock?
Yeah, stock.
Okay.
Yeah, but so that's a bigger risk. But to me, it's like, what is Google
Little
just
safer.
gonna?
Little safer.
What is Google gonna just be gone? You know?
Jake Paul fought yesterday. Odds were you get 8 to 10 extra money.
Yeah.
People were basically swinging for the fences, thinking that's gonna work. And I'm sure there's people that bet their hard-earned money on that, thinking that I could make a lot of money doing this, and lo and behold, what happened? Obviously, the odds were made like that for a reason, because people knew this is probably not gonna happen.
Right.
It's just like a risky trade. You probably know it's not gonna work, but you know if it does work, you're gonna make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. People are just hardwired to just try it anyway. And back to your point, if it's avoidable, just avoid it. You'll live to see another. Take the safer route, if anything.
Right.
Buy Google stock.
Yeah, right.
Buy Google stock. Now,
right.
if someone wants to start trading futures right now in 2025, heading into 2026, what's the best way to do it and the fastest way, if there is one?
Learn as much as you can for free online. Like genuinely, go through like whether it's my YouTube, whoever you like resonate with, whoever has like some proof. That's like an important thing, and just trust your intuition. Like I always like to say, a lot of people, it's funny, people come to ask me outside of like the trading stuff, they know me in real life. What do you think about this guy? And I'm like, what do you think about him? Why are you asking me? If you're thinking like that, don't learn from him. But find somebody that you can trust. Learn from them as much as you can for free online, and genuinely go try to do it on yourself. And don't be looking at social media. Don't be on Twitter. Don't go buy 20 different Discords so you can have 100 different voices in your head. Learn and then go out and try to implement on your own, right? Do a lot of reflection. This is just learning anything. Do a lot of reflection, try to put as many hours into actually implementing, right? Not learning, implementing. Spend like 20 hours, max like 20 focused hours learning, and then go out and implement. Because past that, bro, like you're just delaying. You're adding like so much significance to actually going out and trying to do it that you're more likely to fail because you feel like, oh, I've spent 100 hours learning, now I'm gonna go be successful. You're not. So get out there in the field, start doing it. And then if you get to a point where you genuinely think like, okay, cool, like I wanna work directly with somebody, do that, but not until you've proven to yourself you're actually gonna do this. Don't be one of those people who just is like, watches something, sees somebody talking about trading and thinks, oh, I wanna do that. You go watch 2 YouTube videos, oh, buy it. Because you're not fucking serious. You know what I'm saying? Like actually go and prove yourself that you're gonna do this, get some skin in the game, learn some lessons, take some losses, and then figure out if that's for you or not.
So you generally can learn how to do this for free online.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way you actually are going to learn is by trading. You're not gonna learn, like you're gonna understand trading, you're gonna get the prerequisite information, but like
don't just learn how to trade, actually go and trade yourself.
Go and trade. Yeah, but don't risk too much money. Don't put a lot of money on the line, right? Respect it as if there was a lot of money on the line. Look at this like this could be another stream of income if I stick with this for 6 months to a year, and go out and actually implement. Because that's what you learn. Like for example, if we sat here and said, let's go and learn how to be a sniper. And I'm like, here, read this book on how to zero your scope. Read this book on how to hit the target and how wind works and shooting the gun, and study this for 100 hours. Are you going to go out and shoot the gun and hit the target? No. You probably might even have trouble loading the gun. You're going to be basically a complete beginner because you haven't actually done it. You don't learn in a classroom, you learn in the field. So that's the biggest advice I can have, because I see a lot of people become classroom warriors, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time they actually go out and implement, they have this pent up like anxiety because deep down they're thinking, oh, well, I've put so much time into learning. I bought so many courses, like this has got to work. They probably told their girl, I'm learning this trading thing. Yeah. And then they go out and have all this pressure and then they fail. So
what's the most you ever made on one trade, one day, or just in general?
$103,000. Yeah. So it was $80,000 before this year, but and that was more of like a swing trade. It wasn't like a day trade. A day trade is $83,000. But that's and I like
can you walk us through that day trade? How did you make $83,000 in one single day?
Yeah, so I was trading 10 contracts of NASDAQ and just caught like a huge sell-off. Like there was just a very low volume area, and then the market just started rallying. I looked at it, and another big thing that I always recommend, and this is how I was able to do this, don't just take profits. Like a lot of people say like, oh, I think the market's gonna go here, right? Like I'm in a trade, here's my target. I never do that. I'll say I'm in a trade, here's my target, but once it hits it, I'm not just gonna exit. I just bring my stop loss, which like cuts me out if the market were to reverse on me, so I secure wins, but I just let the market keep running. It's kind of funny. There's like these pieces of trading advice from these books that you'll read when you first start trading that are very vague. And you always think that they're like useless advice, like theoretical advice. One of them was it's let your winners run and cut your losers faster. And you read that when you're struggling and you're like, oh, well, thank you for nothing.
Yeah.
It just sounds obvious, but it's true. It's true because all of my biggest winners, it went way farther than what I thought it was going to go. So anybody who's actually trading, like, think about this. Out of your last 50 trades, how many of them went farther that were winning? How many of them went farther than your target? Chances are almost all of them, unless you're just an absolute sniper and just pinpointed the exact exit.
Yeah.
It's very low likely. So that was how I made that. It was a normal trade. I didn't think it was going to be that much. You never think it's going to be that much. But yeah, I mean, and to be clear, on that trade, I did risk $15,000. So it sounds like, oh, some crazy thing, but like if it would have went wrong, I would have lost 15K.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, you can, it's not a matter of like, oh, you get so good at it that you can just make more money. It's like you get good at it, so you have more confidence and you get more money, so you can have composure. But it's the same amount of
So
work.
let your winners run, cut your losers short. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. What's the best piece of advice you want to give to someone that's going to get into trading? Just from everything you've learned, hey, here's a quick tip just before you jump off this bridge.
Understand that in order to be successful in a business where most people fail, you're going to have to do more than just learn the business. Chances are, if you're trying to get into trading or any business, you're trying to change your life, you might not be at a point in life where you want to be at. And you have this goal that you're trying to hit, and there's a huge gap in between those two things. And that gap is not going to get filled just by learning a new skill. That gap is going to be becoming the kind of person that can take that skill and actually leverage it the right way. Because if it were just about learning trading, every single person who learned how to trade would become a multimillionaire, right? Why do some people get the same information as others, but make way more money? Is it because they're smarter? No, I know dumb people that are way richer than the smart people I know. It's just because of their self-image, their work ethic, their relationship to money. That's the biggest one. Like whether you think of money in like a scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset, and all these other things that aren't about trading, that's what's going to dictate the way that you actually do. Like I'll give you an example. Jeremy Haynes, right? We're going to go over and do this toy drive here in a second with him. He started trading, and within a year and a half, the dude made $1 million, right? Verified proof. He lost 80K to make that $1 million. Why was he able to do that when most people could never do that in a short amount of time? Because he's a high level person, because he had a lot of success, and he already closed that gap whenever he became successful in business. So whenever he learned trading and learned the skill, he was able to just go out and learn it a lot faster than other people. Because why? Because he had a nice relationship with money. He didn't care to lose. He didn't have all this pressure coming in his head about like, oh, this is going to be the one that makes me out. I'm going to get out the hood with this. No, right? He just went out and objectively learned the skill and executed. So the goal should be, yes, to learn, but also to get yourself to that kind of mindset. And guess what? Guess how you do that? Except that you're going to have to fail a lot. Except that you're going to have to be misunderstood by people around you. Expect that you're going to have to probably sacrifice a lot of time, a lot of fun, a lot of the stuff that you're used to doing, a lot of stuff that normal people do. So go into it with that mindset and take pride in that you're reinventing yourself, and understand that you're not going to get it overnight probably, and you're going to probably be able to get it much faster. There's a saying, a good friend of mine, Umar Ashraf, he's an amazing trader. He said something along the lines of like, if you think it's going to take you 10 years, it might just take you one. And I don't want to quote this exactly, something along the lines of that. But if you think it's going to take you 1 year, it's going to take you 10. Something like that, right? But it's true, because like but the lesson in there is that whenever you remove significance and importance from something, you do better at it. It's kind of similar to like if you see a woman out in public and she's like the most beautiful woman of your dreams or something, and you go up and try to talk to her and you think she's out of your league, you're going to sound like a nerd, right? But if you look at it like, okay, this is really not that big of a deal, and you go and talk to her, like you're going to come off more confident. You're going to come off and not mess it up, right? But the gap is significance. It's not that important to you, right? And that's like the universal law. Anything that is too important to you and you put on a pedestal will run from you. It will escape you, because your fear and the way that you attack it is going to come from the wrong place. Let's go.
That was good.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, man.